President Donald Trump has just made one of the boldest military moves regarding Nigeria since he took office for his second term, and the implications are absolutely massive for the country's fight against terrorism. The United States is deploying 200 American troops to Nigeria in what represents a dramatic escalation of Washington's direct involvement in West Africa's security crisis. This announcement came on Tuesday, February 10, 2026, from a United States military official who confirmed that these troops will be arriving in Nigeria within the coming weeks to train the Nigerian military in fighting Islamist militants. What makes this deployment particularly significant is that it comes just weeks after Trump ordered devastating airstrikes on Christmas Day against what he described as Islamic State targets in Sokoto State, and it represents the first time since those December strikes that America has publicly acknowledged the exact number of boots it plans to put on Nigerian soil. The 200 troops will supplement a handful of United States military personnel who are already on the ground in Nigeria, meaning there was already a small American military presence that most Nigerians did not even know about until recently. According to the Wall Street Journal, which first broke the story, these new troops will provide training and technical guidance to Nigerian forces with a special focus on helping coordinate operations that involve airstrikes and ground troops working together simultaneously, which is something the Nigerian military has historically struggled with. The United States Africa Command spokeswoman confirmed the accuracy of these reports when contacted by international media. Now, let me give you the full context of how we got here, because this story is absolutely wild. Back in late October 2025, President Trump began making very strong statements about Nigeria, specifically claiming that Christianity faces an existential threat in the country and accusing the Nigerian government of failing to stop violence targeting Christian communities. Trump went as far as threatening to enter Nigeria with what he called guns blazing to avenge what he described as Christian genocide. These statements created massive diplomatic tension between Abuja and Washington, with the Nigerian government strongly denying any systematic persecution of Christians and pointing out that both Muslims and Christians are victims of terrorist attacks by groups like Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa Province. But Trump was not backing down, and the pressure kept building. Then, on Christmas Day 2025, the United States military launched 16 Tomahawk missiles from Navy warships in what became one of the most explosive military actions America has ever taken in Nigeria. The missiles struck two terrorist camps run by a militant group called Lakurawa in Bauni Forest, located in Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State. Trump released a statement saying he had previously warned these terrorists that if they did not stop slaughtering Christians, there would be hell to pay, and that night there was, describing the strikes as numerous perfect strikes as only the United States is capable of doing. The Nigerian government officially supported the airstrikes, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs describing them as precision hits that resulted from intelligence exchange and strategic coordination between both countries. If you are finding this breakdown of America's growing military involvement in Nigeria helpful and want to stay updated on all major security developments, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on your notification bell so you never miss our analysis of these critical issues. What happened after those Christmas airstrikes is what really set the stage for this troop deployment. In early February 2026, General Dagvin Anderson, who is the commander of United States Africa Command, traveled to Abuja, where he met with President Bola Tinubu, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, Defense Minister Christopher Musa, Chief of Defense Staff Olufemi Oluyede, Chief of Army Staff Waidi Shaibu, and other senior Nigerian security officials. During this visit, Anderson confirmed that the United States had already deployed some forces to Nigeria as part of an expanded bilateral agreement to tackle terrorism, though he refused to disclose the exact size of that initial deployment. He said the troops would primarily focus on intelligence gathering and providing support to local forces. General Anderson described Nigeria as a great example of a very willing and capable partner who requested the unique capabilities that only the United States can bring. This is a critical point because Nigerian Defense Ministry spokesman Samaela Uba confirmed to the Wall Street Journal that Nigeria actually requested this additional American assistance, meaning this is not just Trump imposing his will on Nigeria, but rather a response to a formal request from the Tinubu administration for help in dealing with the overwhelming security challenges facing the country. The 200 troops now being deployed will be stationed at various locations across Nigeria, and according to American officials, they will not be involved in direct combat operations. Their mission is strictly training Nigerian forces, providing technical expertise, helping with intelligence analysis, and teaching Nigerian soldiers how to better coordinate between air power and ground operations. The United States has also committed to supplying intelligence for Nigerian airstrikes going forward and promised to work on expediting arms purchases that Nigeria has been trying to make from America. This represents a fundamental shift in the military relationship between both countries. For years, relations between the United States military and the Nigerian military were described as prickly, with mutual suspicion and limited cooperation. But Trump's aggressive focus on what he calls Christian persecution in Nigeria, combined with the activism of Christian groups, Republican lawmakers, and American celebrities who have been pushing for United States intervention, has completely transformed that relationship. Now you have American surveillance planes flying regularly over Nigerian territory from their base in Ghana, relaying real-time intelligence data to joint teams of United States and Nigerian military analysts who work together to identify potential terrorist targets for strikes. This is unprecedented cooperation. However, this entire situation is not without serious controversy. The narrative that Trump and his supporters are pushing, that Nigeria is experiencing Christian genocide, is heavily disputed. While it is absolutely true that Christian communities in places like Kaduna, Plateau, Benue, and parts of the north-central region have suffered horrific attacks by armed groups, the reality on the ground is far more complex than Trump's simplified version. Muslims are also being killed in massive numbers by these same terrorist groups. In fact, Masad Bolus, who is Trump's senior advisor on Arab and African affairs, admitted last year that Boko Haram and Islamic State are killing more Muslims than Christians. The violence in Nigeria involves a complex mix of factors, including the 17-year Islamist insurgency in the northeast, bandit gangs conducting kidnappings for ransom and village raids in the northwest, and farmer-herder conflicts in the Middle Belt that researchers say are primarily driven by competition over dwindling land and resources rather than religion. Nigeria's population of over 230 million people is roughly evenly divided between Christians who predominate in the south and Muslims who predominate in the north, with significant intermingling in the middle of the country. The Nigerian government has consistently maintained that it is targeting Islamist fighters and other armed groups that attack and kill both Christians and Muslims, and that there is no systematic targeting of any religious group by the state. What do you think about this American troop deployment? Is it a positive development that will help Nigeria finally defeat Boko Haram and other terrorist groups, or does it represent a dangerous militarization of what should be handled through better governance and addressing root causes of the conflict? Share your thoughts in the comments below.